So Keke Palmer has canceled the episode of her podcast, Baby This is Keke Palmer, in which she was going to be bringing on Jonathan Majors. But the damage has been done. We know who you are. We see who you are. And girl, you in danger, girl. Let's talk about it. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the Cake Radio Show. I'm the CakeDive, and I hope you guys are doing well because today we're going to be talking about Keke Palmer and Jonathan Majors. So, for those who don't know, and there's going to be a long timeline, I'm going to set the scene, but we're going to have to dig into the timeline. Keke Palmer on April Fool's, it was announced that on her podcast, Baby This is Keke Palmer, which is a Wondery show, it was announced on April Fool's that she was going to be hosting Jonathan Majors on her podcast on an episode that was supposed to be released yesterday, April 8th. I believe it was Tuesday. Yes. And the episode, at first, a lot of people was like, April Fool's? Like, is this giving April Fool's? Like, I mean, I know I partake in April Fool's myself. Check out the new Red Velvet single, Azalea Banks, out now on the CakeDive channel. Red Velvet coming out May 17th. But I digress. Not sidestep the promo. I, like a lot of people, was thinking that this was going to be April Fool's joke. But then Wondery released the episode for pre-save. Like, you could play it with a free trial with early access. And a clip went out of the episode, which I'll play here.
I love that. Owning the past or rewriting the future?
Owning the past.
Why?
We're talking about history in general or mine? Me personally.
I mean, really, any of it. Just your concept around, maybe more so
around time.
Around time.
Well, time is.
Oh my gosh, I've been so into
everything.
time lately. Oh, yo, gosh, man. Yeah. Literally, this time thing.
Look it.
I love that we literally.
Wicked. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Very wicked.
Very wicked.
Okay.
Come on, girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
This clip was very weird because of the fact that, like, you know, Keke Palmer feels like she's doing her thing. She's trying to be personable, but it feels almost like too amped up. Like, it feels a little bit more like, raised up and like elevated than usual. And then you have Jonathan Majors, whose vibe is like terrifying. Like, Jonathan Majors looks uncomfortable. And two, it also looks like he is trying to, like, he looks like a demon in a church. Like, he's on fire. Like, it looks like he knows that he should not be in this space. He knows that he's like walking on eggshells. And he is nervous about him having to possibly crack and taking like full accountability. Which is something that he has not done with the DV case, which this is what this whole press tour thing is about. So I gave you that highlight. Now it's time to set the timeline. Where did this all begin? What led us to this moment? Let's talk about it. So, I ate that up. Listen, let me not gag myself. So, setting the scene, obviously, Jonathan Majors was arrested and was being charged with DV. Eventually, he lost the case. There was a whole situation in which he was saying that, you know, he swore up and down, and he still swears up and down that he did not abuse this woman. You had the Rolling Stone do op-eds in which, like, they reached out to some of his previous partners, and some of them refused to come forward. Some of them said that, like, this is something that he's done before in the past. There's others who said, like, who allegedly sent, like, letters of support to Jonathan Majors, and when Rolling Stone reached out, they said it was fake, you know, different things like that. Again, he loses the case. He is, you know, he pleads not guilty. He's found guilty. And, you know, he loses a lot as a result of this. You have the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he was supposed to be up as Kang. He loses that. They swap over to Doom. You have the Creed franchise with his bestie Michael B. Jordan. He seemingly loses that. And, Magazine Dreams, which is a movie that was supposed to be released. It was released at Sundance, was picked up and acquired by Disney to be released through Searchlight. That was dropped by Disney and was late last year, early this year, was picked up to be released by Briarcliff Entertainment, who, in all honesty, releases a lot of films that kind of sits. It's films that a lot of other studios have not picked up that people want released. It's like the bargain bin studio. No shade, not to be shady, but that's just what if you look at the filmography that they've released, yeah, it's giving bargain bin, baby. It's giving Tubi deal. But they pick up the movie and release the movie. They give him this big press tour for the film because obviously they paid Disney a pretty penny to take the film off their hands. They got to make some money back, and they also wanted this to be like an awards pick somehow for some reason. Uphill battle. And at the same time, Jonathan Majors has been building his comeback tour at the same time as this film has released. It started earlier than the film coming out. He's tried to do interviews talking about his things. He again has said up and down that he did not abuse this woman. There was the ABC News interview in which, when he started dating Megan Good in that very obvious relationship that is it's a transactional relationship. I think that they do it because they want to help each other out. Megan probably gets some sort of capital with being with the black man, holding this black man down. There's a side of the internet, there's a side of Hollywood that loves that because we don't see that too often. And then you have Jonathan Majors, who has been consistent in his selection of not dating black women, and also avoiding black media up until he got caught up with this white girl and was again found guilty and has seemingly had a change of heart. He, in the ABC News interview, was saying that, Megan is like my Coretta. What the hell does that mean? Bernice and the other kids should whip his ass. You have the Hollywood Unlocked Awards, which, whatever the hell that means. That happened allegedly. And he popped up on stage crying, and Ayanna Van Zant fixed my life with Ayanna. Fixed my life except for black women, Ayanna, because she be holding black women to the fire, but when it comes to everybody else, she don't really care. She be loving and hugging up on him. She holding this man holding this man tight, and he's crying. He's trying to cry on stage because he feels like they're tearing a black man down, like he was not found guilty. Anyways, then you have this new tour that's happening that was timed with the release of this film, in which very black media outlets to do interviews with. Up until this point, up until this controversy kicked off, and he wanted to do a comeback tour because he wants to get back into Hollywood and get these big films because he was up on the up and up, and because the fact that he got caught up, he lost all this. Up until this point, the only black media company or organization that he reached out to do any sort of news or promotion or anything with was, I believe it was Essence, and it was for the magazine spread that they reached out to him to do. It wasn't the other way around. Now he's asking, he got on Sherry Shepherd crying. We did the episode on that before. Check out that episode. Um, then he is like he's been on other outlets as well, but Sherry Shepherd was kind of the one that took like a lot of people by storm because they're like, why is Sherry crying on this show, but it's not giving these black women grace. We're confused. And now leads to the Keke Palmer episode. Now, let's read what the now scrapped episode was going to be about. The scrapped episode was called No Easy Answers, Accountability and Moving Forward with Jonathan Majors. And the synopsis is, accountability, it's a loaded world. Ooh, sound it out, Cake. Accountability, it's a loaded word, right? We're living in a time where we want real accountability, especially for things men have gotten away with for far too long. At the same time, finding forgiveness feels harder than ever, and we're still figuring out what true accountability even looks like. Today, we're sitting down with Jonathan Majors to talk about what life has looked like after being convicted of harassment and assault. Baby, maybe this is Keke Palmer, because people were like, oh, this whole situation is very odd. Why is Keke Palmer doing this, girl? Why are we trying to platform this man, who, again, up to this point has not supported black media. He's avoided black media up until this point. And, coming from someone who has experienced domestic violence, like, why are you platforming someone who has committed domestic violence and has not shown remorse? He has not shown forgiveness. He has not shown any of the things that the synopsis of this episode is suggesting that you should tackle. And then, like a lot of people do, they start digging. Keke Palmer, old videos and tweets and stuff started coming up. The long reposted tweet of her. Let's start easy, and then let's start with some of the deep cuts. So first is the tweet in which she, and this has long been reposted, every time she's like kind of in between things, she hasn't really put nothing out much, and people aren't really like feeling her at the moment. The tweet of her talking about how people on food stamps should only have access to healthy food was making circulation again, which not great. Obviously, not a good statement to say because you don't even know what you're talking about. But that's the tip of the iceberg. Then there were the clips of her talking about what was the clips, and like it was also like her kind of praising Chris Brown, which it is also on the top of the iceberg, I would say, because while Chris Brown, and I've talked about Chris Brown on this podcast before, can't stand that man. He should not have no platform ever. Despite the fact that like a lot of people seem to like not like this man, there's still a lot of people who do like the man and continue to platform him, continue to listen to his music, continue to go to tours. There's been a conversation of like a lot of R&B and a lot of people in Hollywood who are like don't care about what Chris Brown does. They like Chris Brown and think he's, and like are still willing to support him and platform him, for worse. But that just seems to be the thing that is, unfortunately. Then you have the R. Kelly stuff. There was clips that went around in which, one, there is the Breakfast clip in which she was like, oh, why are you hating on my boy Kels, y'all? Why y'all keep talking about them women? And literally Charlamagne, all three of them, Charlamagne, DJ Envy, and Angela Yee were both like, well, did you hear the news about like the girls that came forward who said that, R. Kelly did the things that we all know that he's done to these women? And she's like, oh, well, didn't they say that that's like, weren't they like of age? And then she was like, oh, well, like, I didn't hear that. Like, let's not talk about that. She was trying to skip over everything and was like, oh, why y'all hating on my boy Kels? And then there was the clip that came out of her sitting on her boy Kels' lap, excited to be around Kels, seeing him making music, stuff like that. Very crazy stuff. And, a lot of people, unfortunately, were bringing up the situation with Keke and her baby daddy. His name is Darius, I think. The one who, which all started off when he made the tweet about her at the Usher concert in which she's like, "You a mother, you need to act like it," or whatever was going on with that. And everyone was like, "Oh, boo, you losers," da 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 da. And Keke was like, "Y'all go easy on him," type of beat, while also trying to monetize everything. Kind of strange. And then the clips of her being thrown around were revealed, unfortunately, and he also, like, obviously no one was trying to listen to what he had to say because he's committing DV, but he did say in a legal statement that she was also being an aggressor and stuff as well. There have been also like excerpts in some of one of Kiki's previous books of her talking about how she has been an aggressor in the past. So I'm not gonna question him on that, but that man is still dead wrong. Keke probably is dead wrong too because hurt people hurt people. This is probably like she has gone through a lot of things in her life, so this is something that she is not um new to. Like, she's not a stranger to these things. So again, the fact that she is trying to platform someone who is not showing remorse, it's very crazy. But I think obviously the episode has been pulled. It was replaced with an episode of her interviewing Cash Doll. We don't know if the episode's going to come out still. We don't know if it's like been fully scrapped. We don't know if it's going to get leaked, like if anyone's going to post video footage of the full episode anywhere. Who knows? But at this point, I feel like a lot of people are going to be done with Keke Palmer, which really is sad because of the fact that Keke Palmer was on the up and up. She had one of them days come out this year, which did really big numbers. She was still like running off of the high of like being back in the public eye, doing like interviews and stuff like that. Her being very personable because she is a very personable woman. She's someone who is really funny. She has a really incredible personality. Like, the girls like Keke Palmer. But I think a lot of people now are going to be standoffish because of the fact that, like, you have shown us who you clearly are. You're willing to platform someone, and very clearly will not be holding them accountable because, again, the footage, y'all playing this or that games, and you just he and Han, him and Han with this man who, while not like really quacking him. But again, I also feel like we need to be honest about this. Keke Palmer was never going to be someone who was going to hold anybody accountable for anything because she has never done that ever. Like, well, okay, I take that back. The only time she has held someone accountable was with the Trey Songz incident. For those who don't know about the Trey Songz incident, this was like a decade or so ago when Trey Songz and his friends and family were trying to intimidate Keke Palmer to be in a music video that at a party that Keke was at and that Trey Songz was hosting. Keke didn't want to be in the video and eventually was hiding in a closet at one point because she felt like sexually intimidated by this man. And she ended up in the music video anyways. She took legal action. Music video was scrubbed and pulled, and a lot of people were giving her a lot of shit because of that situation. But again, I feel like she's right because for that situation, she was right because she experienced something that she should not have experienced, and a lot of women experience intimidation like that from whether it's from the aggressor directly or from their cronies, from their friends, their family, people that these women are interacting with and have some trust and love for. Like, it is something that has happened. That is the only thing. That's the only time in which Keke has shown has held much accountability, or like has held others accountable. The other situations in which she kind of held people accountable has been like she did watch. She is one of those people who like watched the R. Kelly documentary and was like, so like I hate that he did these things and I hate that I've like been like kind of like supporting this man, stuff like that. He needs to be held accountable. Which, like, I mean, I understand that the documentary was eye opening. I mean, I saw the documentary too. It was certainly eye opening, especially being someone who has known that man did the things that he did. But I feel like it is very odd for some people, like some of the celebrities and stuff who like were in seeing this for the first time and were kind of like, oh, like they were changing the tone. It changing their tune in that moment were weird to me. Um, and that's just how I felt about that. And outside of that, there haven't really been other cases in which she's held other people accountable. I mean, she had Lizzo on her podcast and gave Lizzo the platform to talk about the situation with the singers. And Keke wasn't really asking the hard questions and stuff like that. And I think that's just an indicator of how the state of like news and journalism and podcast are in this moment. A lot of the people who are at the heads of media nowadays are not holding, like when they're not giving people, they're not giving celebrities the heavy questions. They're not giving these influencers um much pressure. Like they're not applying the pressure and they're not asking the hard questions. And in the cases that they are asking the hard questions, the fans or like the public at large is giving them a lot of issues. Um because they see it as like pure hate. They see it as like, oh, like you're just coming for them because you don't like them. You're trying to come for them and stuff like that. But like no, like sometimes when it's done right, because there is an asterisk. There are some people who just be putting hit pieces on people. Like look at the one article that came out from that Variety hit piece person, that hit piece lady who can't write for shit, who was trying to drag Rachel Zegler with like Snow White, blaming the thing on her, like this wasn't a movie with a exceptionally high budget for no reason, horrifying CGI with dwarves, and the promotion just was not there. Like I think that it wasn't on Rachel as a woman to be the one to make this film bomb, especially considering that critics were praising her performance and dragging everybody else's, including Gal Gadot's. But that's neither here nor there. We're supposed to be talking about Keke Palmer. Again, I feel like I said everything I need to say. I think Keke overall is gonna be fine. This episode on her is not a cancel culture piece. As I've said before on the podcast, I don't really believe cancel culture exists, because at the end of the day, like people will support people as long as they put something good out. We've seen that time and time again. And I think that Keke will come back from this. I think there's still gonna be a point in which people are like, oh, remember when Keke Palmer was trying to do this? Like, remember when Keke Palmer was trying to platform Jonathan Majors and stuff like that? But I think she'll be able to bounce back from this eventually, because Keke Palmer is still likable. She has a great personality that works well with crowds and with audiences. People are able to click with that. So all Keke really needs to do is just, take a little time, be quiet on the situation, work with her team to be quiet on the situation, and just come forward with her next project, and show the girls that she is, the one. Because that's what the gag is. I think that's what the gag is. Like, people are gonna like. There's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna like cast this aside and like act like this didn't happen, or like just not care when she comes back with something new, something funny, something cute. And that's my thoughts. I hate that for sister. I hate that she was trying to do this episode. It's not surprising considering her laundry list, her history. But I don't think it's going to be the end all be all. I think she will be fine at the end of the day. People will remember this, but she'll be fine. That's just how, life goes. And yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Let me know in the comments here on YouTube or on Spotify what you thought about the situation. Do you feel like Keke Palmer and Wondery should have released the episode as is and just take the heat? Do you think it was a good decision for them just to scrap the episode? Do you think it will be released in any capacity at some point? How do you feel about Keke Palmer, her background? How do you feel about her trying to platform Jonathan Majors? How do you feel about Jonathan Majors and him trying to stage his comeback? Do you want to see him come back? Let's have a discussion in the comments below. This has been the Cake Radio Show. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube where you get episodes before anywhere else. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, because we are on nearly 95%, more like 99% of the major podcast platforms. Thank you so much for supporting. Be sure to like, subscribe, or follow. Share the show around. Really helps. And I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye-bye.